React Router is commonly used to create different routes for pages in React applications. This course will teach you how to use React Router to create your own routes in React.
We're going to learn about React Router and its different concepts, such as creating different routes for different pages in React. Also, we're going to learn how to nest a route of a page under another page. Hooks like useHistory, useParams, useLocations, and useRouteMatch. Also, how to fetch a query string in form of a variable from the URL. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start by creating a new React app. I'm gonna type npx create React app and the name of our app, which I'm gonna give React Router tutorial. Now what it's gonna do, it's gonna go to npm's website or npm's repository and gonna take all of the things needed to create a new React app, and it's gonna put all of those things into this folder, React Router tutorial. It's gonna find all of the dependencies that we need to create our React app, and it's gonna basically initialize a boilerplate code for our React app. Alright, so it has successfully initialized our new React app. Now we need to switch to that folder. What we can do is either we can type cd and the name of the folder. You can switch this way, or what you can do is you can open that folder in VS Code, which in my case is this folder. And I'm gonna select this folder. So here we go, our folder has been opened in the VS Code successfully. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type npm start. So it's going to start our React app. Here's our React app running successfully. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the src folder, and I'm going to get rid of those things that we don't need. So this, and this. We're going to get rid of these 4 files, and we're going to remove the places that they were being used. So over here, and I'm gonna get rid of all of these styles. Inside app.js, I'm gonna get rid of this, get rid of logo, and now you'll see that our app will have nothing to show. Let me refresh it. Yeah, there you go. It's an empty page. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'm going to type h1 React Router DOM tutorial, or just React Router tutorial. Let's save this and see. Yes, it has successfully rendered this over here. So let's create a different component for header. I'm going to create a new component called new folder called components. It's not necessary to create a separate folder for components, but it's a good practice. I'm going to create a different component for header.js, and I'm going to type rafce underscore rafce and press enter. And let's copy the same thing over here. There we go. Let's first center align this thing, and then we're going to start with our tutorial. So I'm going to give it a few of the styles in app.css. I'm going to give it a display flex and justify content. No, sorry. I mean to say align items to center, and flex direction is going to be column because we want everything to be top down, aligned. So yeah. Here we go. It is in the center. So yeah, I haven't done this. I haven't imported the header component. Yeah. Header is not defined. Let's just import it manually. Here we go. It should work fine now. Yep, here we go. It's working fine. So now we're going to install React Router DOM. So I'm going to open a new terminal and type npm I React Router DOM. And you know what? I'm going to go to header and get rid of this div. let's use the React fragments. So if you don't know what React fragment is, you can watch my previous video on 8 clean code practices in React. It's gonna help you a lot.
2,000 years later.
Alright, so finally our React Router DOM has installed successfully. So I'm gonna go to my app.js component. And to use our React Router DOM, what we'll need to do is we're gonna have to cover this whole React app in something called BrowserRouter. BrowserRouter, which comes from React Router DOM. So you can see it has auto imported. So I'm gonna wrap whole of my app in this. All right, here we go. Let's close this terminal. I think I'm gonna have to restart my application, so let me just do that quickly. All right, it's fine now. So what are we gonna do next is we're gonna create different routes for different pages that we're gonna work with. So let's create a route for home page, about page, and profile page. Yeah. So I'm gonna type route and press enter, and you can see route has auto imported from VS Code. I mean from React Router DOM. VS Code has auto imported it. So I'm gonna give it a path. This is gonna be a home page, so it's gonna be this. And we have to give it a component, which we'll create in a second. So let's duplicate these paths. Another one will be for about, and the third one will be for profile. So let's create these pages first. I'm going to create a new folder with the name of pages. Home.js. I'm going to create another file called about.js, and the third file will be profile.js. Let me quickly write some code inside of this. Let me type homepage. I'm going to remove these divs and I'm going to add h1. Yeah, that's better. Same thing with the about page. About page. And the profile page. All right, cool. Profile page. Yeah. All right, cool. So we have created all of our 3 routes. Now let's test these routes if these are working or not. So let me save my app real quick. Okay, there's an error. What's the error? Okay, we haven't given the components, obviously. So let's just give this home. Oh, sorry. My bad. We have to import all of these components first. So import home from /home, and I'm gonna do for about and profile as well. So about and profile. Let me just about and profile. Here we go. So we have created 3 routes. This is how you create routes in React by using React Router DOM. So you can see it's currently in the root folder. I mean in the root path. So it's giving us home page. Let's go to the about page. About. So here we go. It's giving us about. But you can see the home page is also appearing here and about page is also appearing here. Why is that happening? Because you can see it has about page as well and this root as well. In its path it has root as well. So what we can do is we can type exact. So it's gonna go exactly to this path and nowhere else. So if you type about, it's gonna open about page, and if you type profile, it's gonna go to what? Okay, I have made this mistake. Yeah. Now it's gonna work fine. If I go to profile page, it's gonna open the profile page. Another thing which you can do apart from exact is you can use something called switch. So if I type switch over here, and I'm gonna take all of these 3 inside of the switch, and I've imported the switch from React Router DOM. So what switch does is when you go to a particular path, let me remove this exact from here. So it's gonna find whatever it finds first is gonna stop there. For example, it has written /profile. So it has found the slash path first. It has matched this path with this. So it has found the home page is gonna render if we use switch. But if we type exact, then we're not gonna have the same problem now. You can see it's rendering the profile now. Let me type about. All right, here we go, about page. All right, one more thing. So we don't need to manually type this in the URL. So what can we do to go to another page? In the traditional web development, in the HTML, we use something called a tag to go to different page. So we can use that over here as well, but it has a disadvantage. What disadvantage is there? When we click on this a tag, it's gonna refresh our page. Let me demonstrate that thing. So I'm gonna go to our header. I'm going to create a navigation menu for our app. Let me create an unordered list over here. I'm going to create few list items and have an a tag inside of it with href of about, no, first is going to be the home page. So let's type slash over here and give it a name of home. All right, so I'm gonna duplicate these multiple times and gonna give this about. Same thing here, profile and profile. Let's save this. And currently looks a bit ugly, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of styling. So let's go to our app CSS and I'm gonna add some styling to it. Let me give this a class name first. I'm gonna give this a class name of nav. Yeah, let's give it some styles. So I'm gonna type list style type is gonna be none, so that it doesn't display the bullet. And I'm gonna type width to be 500 pixels. So I'm gonna type display flex and justify content to be spaced evenly so that it spreads around evenly. Now you'll see, yep, it has spread around evenly. Now let's click on one of these links. If I'm going to click on home, you can see the page has refreshed over here. If I click on profile, again the page has refreshed. We have reached the destination, but the page has refreshed. We don't want the page to be refreshed. We don't want our components to be re-rendered. So what are we going to do now? So instead of this a tag, what I'm going to do is I will use something called link, which is provided to us by React Router DOM. Let's click on this link and you can see it has auto imported. So over here as well, link, and lastly, yeah, but we can't use href with the link. We need to use something called to. This is the prop that it takes. So let's save it. All right, our app has reloaded and let's click on about. Now you can see the page has not refreshed. If I click on home again, so you see this is the power of React Router DOM. It doesn't refresh your page and it takes you to another page in a blink of an eye. All right, cool. So let's discuss some more features of this library. So let's say if I want a default route for our app, what I mean by that is, let me give a base name over here. If I give the base name as a tutorial and save this, now you see if I click on home page, it's gonna take us to the /tutorial. If I click on about, it's gonna take us /tutorial/about. So this is how you can define a base name for this, by typing base name equals whatever the name that you need to use. If I click on profile, it's going to take us /tutorial/profile. So this is a really powerful feature. Let's check out another feature of the browser router. I'm going to remove this. And let's say for some reason you need to use the refresh feature. So currently it's not refreshing our page when I'm taking it to another route. So if I type force refresh over here, then you'll see what it does. If I'm going to go to about, you can see the page is refreshing now. It's providing the force refresh, forcefully our app to re-render everything. So you can use force refresh for that, which I don't think anyone needs to use. Also, if you want to confirm every time a user goes to another route, for example, if I click on about, you need to confirm it by some prompt or by some displaying some modal. What you can use is called getUserConfirmation. you can type get user confirmation, and then inside of this you can write a custom message to be displayed whenever the route changes. So I'm gonna write a function inside of it by typing message, message, and it's gonna take a callback. This is gonna be an arrow function. So callback is gonna take window dot confirm, and you can pass whatever component that you need to pass inside of it. Let's say if you create a prompt, you can pass inside a prompt inside of it, or a modal. But I don't think this is used that much as well. So this is one of the features that you can use in React Router DOM. So let's remove this. Yeah. All right, let's move forward. First of all, what I want to do is let's remove these styles from the links. I don't want these styles, so I'm gonna go to app.css and let's remove the styles by typing A, removing text and decoration, and color will be inherited. Yeah, fine. See, our pages are not that big right now. If you go to home page or if you go to profile page, its height is not that big right now. But let's say your page is so big that you need to scroll down. So whenever you change your route, what's gonna happen? It's gonna continue the other page from the same position. So what you want to do in that case, whenever you go to a different component, you can type like this. Let me just go over here to home page, and what I can do is I can use effect, and inside of use effect I can type window dot scroll to 0, 0. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna continue the other page from the top and not the previous position that page was when you were in the other component. So yeah, this is helpful. Okay, so next important thing is if when we type to some other route that doesn't exist right now, let me say anything like something, and enter, you can see there's nothing being displayed over here. We want something to display over here, like 404 error, page not found, something like that. So how can we display that over here? Let me create a new page for that. I'm gonna create a new page called not found.js. All right, let's initialize this page, RAFCE, press enter, and I'm gonna give it an h1 of 404 not found. Let's save this. Now how can we use this? Now we need to go over here. Let me close this. Yeah, we need to go over here. We need to create another route. We've created another route. In this case, we're not going to give it any of the path such as about or profile or anything. We're just gonna give it a component. Not found. I'm gonna manually import it. Here we go. We have imported our not found page, and here we go. The message is displayed successfully. If I go to somewhere else, it's gonna still display this message. If I go to a relevant page like home, about, or profile, it's not gonna display any of the message. Alright, so let's move to the next thing, which is taking parameters from the URL. So let's say if I want a page like something called post, and we want some random post. So we want this random ID to be accessed by us. So what can we do over here? So currently it's gonna show 404 not found. So let's create a new page for our post. Post.js. So what we want to do is we want to fetch this particular ID. So let me type ID is, and we're gonna display the particular ID. I'm gonna give it h2 over here. Currently it's not gonna display anything. If I go to post, okay, we haven't created the route, obviously. We need to go to app.js and create another route. All right, here we go. We have created this path successfully. Now you can see it's showing us ID is equals, which we can't do anything. If we just slash type anything, it's not gonna display anything. So what we need to do now, we're gonna do is slash ID. So now it's gonna take a random ID from us. So if I go to post now, it's gonna display not found because that page doesn't found. It needs to have an ID to display. So let's go back to our page. And now we're gonna use our first hook, which is called useParams, or we can use a match as well. Let me just demonstrate it with the match first. So we're gonna go over here, destructure the match from here. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here and type match.params. And what was the name of the param? It was ID. Let's save this. And let's check this out now. Here we go. If I give this, let me type random over here and press enter, you can see the ID is generated and it's displayed over here. I mean, it's not generated, we have provided it, but it's displayed over here. Yeah. So what's the other way to do this? The other way to do this is using useParams hook, which is provided to us by React Router DOM. So I'm going to click over here and you can see it has auto imported from React Router DOM. Now we don't need this. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to use useParams. Let's first log this useParams. Let's see what do we get inside of this. I'm going to remove this now so it doesn't give error. All right, let's log this useParams and inspect this. We get an object, and this object has something called ID inside of it, which is the ID that we have passed over here. Let me type something and press. Here we go. It has given us another object with ID of something. So now we're going to use this useParams. I'm going to type const ID equals useParams, and we're going to destructure this ID inside of the useParams. So we have taken out this ID and we can just use this ID over here now. Let's save this and let's check. Here we go. Something. Let me give it a random number. And here's our ID displayed successfully. So yeah, this is how you can fetch the ID from the URL. Now let's say we need to use, we don't want to change our route, but we still need to use the variables from the URL. For example, if I type question mark and let's say I type name equals Piyush. Let's say we want this name. How can we fetch this from the URL? Is there any other way? So we're going to use our second hook called useLocation. useLocation, and it's also provided to us by React Router DOM. So we're going to type useLocation over here. Let me just log this useLocation first and check what do we get inside of this. Let's go to inspect. We get an object. So what does this object has? It has a path name and it has a search with the value of name equals Piyush. Let me type something else. First equals Piyush, and we can type and last equals Agarwal, which is my name. So yeah, let's see. Now the value of search has changed to first equals Piyush and last equals Agarwal. Now how do we fetch these first and last variables from this search variable search object? So what I'm going to do now, so we're going to use an inbuilt API from the browser called URL search params. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to type URL search params, and I'm going to create an object out of it. So I'm going to type new URL search params, and what do we want inside of this useLocation? We want this search. So let's type search. All right, let's take it in some variable. Let me type const query equals new URL search params. Here we go. So how do we take out the stuff from this query? So let me just go over here and h2, and we need to use the first and the last. So let's first extract the first one. So query dot get, and in the bracket we need to write the variable that we need to fetch from the URL. So I'm going to type first and save this. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. We get the Piyush from here, from the first, and let's fetch the last as well. Last, Here we go. So we can type n number of queries inside of this URL, and we can fetch them by using this method, useLocations hook. So that's pretty cool. Now let's suppose you have a login feature in your app and you want user to access the profile only if that user logs in into your app. So how are we gonna modify our React Router DOM according to that? Let's find out. We're gonna go to app.js and we're gonna create a new state. Let's say login. Let me import the use state from React. Here we go. So by default, login will be false. Login will have false value because we are not logged in now. And let me just create a button over here to log in. Oh, but I'm not able to type. Okay, here we go. The button has been created here, over here. Let me just take this div and put it over here so that everything is centered. Yes, it's centered. So what I want is when I tap on this login, we're going to simulate a login feature by making this login as true, and it's going to display logout then. So on click, what it should do, it should set login as the opposite value. So if it's true, it's going to be false. If it's false, it's going to be true. Also, what I'll display over here is if login is true, which means if user has successfully logged in, then it should display, whoa, what's happening? Yeah, then it should display logout. Otherwise, it should display login. Let's save this and let's see if it's working or not. Okay, it's working fine. So what we want to do over here, if our user is not logged in, he's not gonna be able to access the profile page and he's gonna be redirected to the home page. So how can we achieve that? We're gonna use something called redirect from React Router DOM. So let's remove this component from here. How I'm gonna do this is here, we're gonna make it the child component of this route. So let's check this over here. If login is true, then it's going to be able to access the profile page. So profile, otherwise it's going to be redirected. So redirect, where will it be redirected? To home page. Here we go. All right, let's try clicking on our profile page. Let me go to about page and let's click on profile page. You can see we have been redirected to home page. We can't access the profile page now, but the moment we press login and let's go to profile page now we're able to access the profile page. So it has become a protected route for our app. If I'm inside of this profile page and if I press logout, let's see what happens. It's gonna redirect us back to the home page. Now there's another way of doing this. Let me show you. We can use something called useHistory hook. So let me just type this over here. I'm gonna remove all of this redirect stuff. I'm gonna make it a normal route now. It's working normally now without login. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send the login as a parameter inside of this. So I've sent the login as a params. Let's go to profile and destructure the login out of here. Here we go. And let's create a use effect. So use effect runs whenever our app is initialized first time. So I'm gonna take the history out of the use history hook. So let's type use history. And I'm gonna assign it to const history variable. All right, it has auto imported from React Router DOM. What happened? Okay, we haven't imported the use effect. Here we go. All right, so what do we need to type inside of the use effect? We need to check if the user is logged in or if the user is not logged in. What are we going to do? If he is not logged in, then we will use history dot push it's gonna push this path to our URL. So it's gonna push to the slash page, which is our home page. So let's try this out. I'm at the home page. Let's go to profile page. I'm not able to access the profile page now. Let's log in and let's go to profile page. Here we go. We're successfully in the profile page, and let's log out now. Whoa, what happened? I think I have missed some. Yeah, okay. So if we want it to run whenever the login variable changes, so I'm going to provide login over here and history. We're going to provide these two dependencies inside of the use effect. Whenever these two dependencies are going to change, it's going to fire off this function. Let's try again. We're going to go to profile. It's not going there. I'm going to click on login. What am I saying today? Okay, so let's go to profile now. Here we go. We're able to access the profile page. Let's log out. Here we go. We're back at the home page. If we want to go to about page, about, let's say if the user is not logged in, he's going to go to about page. If I click on profile, see, it redirects us to about page. But if we are logged in, we can go to profile page. So I hope you all understood, this feature of React Router DOM. Let's move to the next feature. So let's discuss how can we create a nested route inside of a particular page. For example, if inside of the profile page, I want to create two routes with the name of, let's say, view profile and edit profile. And I don't want those two routes to affect our whole React Router system. We only want them to work inside of this profile page. So let's create two new routes over here. I'm gonna remove this. Let me just put it inside of this round braces, and I'm gonna provide React fragments to these. All right, let's move this. Yeah, so I'm gonna create a nav bar inside of a profile page. I'm going to create a link tag over here, and let's say view. And the other link tag is gonna have edit profile, let's say. Also, we haven't created these view profile and edit profile components yet, so we also have to create those. View profile, there we go. We need to provide it a 2. It's gonna go to Alright, so first of all, before doing all of this, let's create our route and the component first so that we have these errors out of the way. So I'm gonna go below this, and as usual, we're gonna create a switch. Whoops, switch. Let's see if it has auto imported or not. Yes, it has. Alright, we need to create two routes. Route 1 will have path of / view profile, and it's gonna have some component which I'm gonna create next, and the other one will be the edit profile. Yeah, let's create those two components first. View profile.js. Okay, I made a spelling mistake. View profile.js. What the heck? profile. Yes. Edit profile .js. Yeah. Let's create this RAFCE, and I'm gonna give it a h2 and view profile page. Okay, this component has been created, and same with the edit profile page. Edit profile page, giving this h2 as well. Yeah, fine. Let's move on to the next thing. Now we're gonna go back to our profile page, and over here we're gonna go and give it a 2 to /edit profile, and this one to the view profile. Alright, let's see if it works or not. Route is not defined, obviously. Route and links are not defined yet, so I'm gonna auto import it from the VS Code with the help of VS Code. Yeah, here we go. All of these are imported now. Alright, let's see what's the error here over here. Link is not defined. Link is defined. You can see link is defined over here. Let me refresh this up. Yeah, it's working fine. Let's go to the profile. Okay, we have to log in first, and let's go to profile. Okay, we have view profile and edit profile over here, but it's not working now. But why is it not working now? Because we have already created our routes over here. So what do we need to do? So what do we need to use now? Is we're gonna use something called useRouteMatch hook. useRouteMatch. So this is the hook that we're gonna use to help us, move our nest the components inside of other component. So let me type const. I'm gonna take out something called path and something called URL from inside of this thing. So let's see how can we use this path and URL. First of all, we don't want to go to view profile because it's taking us to /edit profile or /view profile. We want to go, for example, if we are at the profile, we want to take the current URL and then append the view profile after it. So what I'm gonna type over here, first of all, I'm gonna remove these standard string tags and I'm gonna use backticks. Oops. Like that. Okay, so now we need to provide a variable inside of it, which will be URL. Yep, now it's gonna work fine. And the same over here, URL, and I'm gonna remove the string and give it a backtick. Just like that. So this is how it's gonna work. And over here as well, okay, we haven't given it the component prop, so it's gonna be view profile. So it's not auto importing. Let me just import it over here. View profile from, we have to go one step back and inside of the components and view profile. Same with the edit profile as well. Edit profile. It should work now. Let me give it a component. Component of edit profile. Yep. So here we go. We have created our two routes over here. So what do we need to do now? We need to provide it the path variable, because it's gonna know that the current URL that we are in, the current path that we are in, we only need to append this particular URL to that URL. I mean the path to that URL or the route to that URL. So I'm gonna type path over here. Similarly, path over here. Just like that, you know the drill. I'm gonna do this, create it a backtick. Over here as well. Now everything should work fine. Let's try it out. If I click on view profile, it's gonna take us to view profile page. You can see /profile/view profile. And if I click on edit profile, it's gonna take us to edit profile page. And all of the other routes are working absolutely fine. There we go. If I click on logout, it's going to take us to the home page. So thank you all for watching this React Router DOM tutorial. I hope you all understood what are the concepts that I explained to you in this video. If you have any confusion, you can comment down below to ask me. I'll reply to you as soon as possible.